You know that feeling, right? You're just staring at a task, you know you have to do it, but you feel nothing. Just this total lack of drive. It's so frustrating. Well, today, we're going to get to the bottom of why we feel so unmotivated, and more importantly, what science says we can actually do about it.
It is so easy to fall into that trap, isn't it? You hit a wall and immediately that little voice in your head starts up, I'm just lazy. I'm not disciplined enough. We just beat ourselves up, thinking it's some kind of deep character flaw.
But what if I told you science has a completely different take on this? It says this isn't about you having a personality flaw. Not at all. It's about the state you're in, a temporary condition that has real identifiable causes, and, here's the most important part, you're not broken, you're just stuck.
Okay, so to get unstuck, we first got to pop the hood on our internal engine, right? We need to understand the mechanics of what actually drives us. And it turns out this engine runs on two very different kinds of fuel.
So, these two fuels are intrinsic and extrinsic motivation. Extrinsic is all about the outside stuff. You know, a paycheck, a deadline, or just not getting in trouble. It works for a while, but it's kind of brittle. Intrinsic motivation, though, that comes from within. It's that drive you feel when you're doing something you genuinely love or really believe in. That's the good stuff, the high-octane, durable fuel we're all after. And this is huge because it corrects a massive misconception about what fuels that engine. We hear about dopamine hits all the time, but here's the thing. Dopamine isn't really the pleasure of getting the reward. It's the anticipation of it. It's the molecule of wanting, the thing that drives us to go get the reward. So when that system gets out of whack, our engine just sputters and stalls. And that brings us right back to this core idea. Your motivation level isn't some fixed personality trait like your eye color. It's a state, one that changes based on things like your stress levels, how you're sleeping, and your overall health. And honestly, that is fantastic news. Why? Because it means if we can change those factors, we can change our state. So, what exactly are these factors that are putting us into this unmotivated state? Let's break it down and look at 7 science-backed motivation killers that explain why you might be feeling so stuck. First up, let's talk about the biological and psychological stuff. Things like burnout or just chronic stress can seriously mess with that dopamine system we just talked about. Even just constant overstimulation from our phones can throw it completely off balance. And of course, there are clinical conditions like depression which can cause something called anhedonia. That's a fancy word for a reduced ability to feel pleasure or interest in things. But hey, it's not always that complex. Sometimes the cause is a lot more straightforward. If you don't have a clear goal, your brain's reward system literally has no target to aim for. That fear of failure, it can be absolutely paralyzing, making us avoid doing anything at all. And we can't ignore the physical side of things. Something as simple as low iron or a thyroid issue can completely drain your energy and your drive. Okay, we have identified the problems. Now it's time for the solution. And I gotta tell you, it's a bit of a paradox. It's this totally counterintuitive secret to getting your engine started again. I want you to really think about this for a second. When you need to get something done, what do you think comes first? Do you have to feel motivated before you can actually do the thing? See, most of us go through life thinking we need the feeling of motivation to strike first, like lightning, and then we'll act. But the science shows we've had it completely backward this whole time. Action creates motivation. You don't wait for the feeling, you act your way into it. And here's how that little bit of magic works. You take one tiny, almost laughably small action. That little step signals progress to your brain, which flips a switch on the reward system. That little reward generates a little bit more motivation, which makes the next step just a tiny bit easier. And that is how action builds momentum. It creates an upward spiral. So, knowing that action comes first, how do we make taking that first step as easy as humanly possible? Let's get really practical here. I'm going to open up a toolkit with 8 strategies you can use to get that momentum back. Here they are, the 8 key strategies. They're all super powerful, covering everything from physical changes like exercise and sleep to mental shifts like reconnecting with your purpose. But we're going to zoom in on 2 of the most effective ones you can start using like right now. Okay, this one right here might just be the most powerful tool in the entire kit. It's the 2-minute rule. Whatever it is you're putting off, writing that email, cleaning the kitchen, going for a run, just commit to doing it for 2 minutes. That's it. Anyone can do something for 2 minutes, right? The secret is that starting is always the hardest part, and this little rule just completely bypasses all that resistance. And remember that high-quality intrinsic fuel we were talking about earlier? Well, this is how you refill the tank. Don't just think about why a goal matters to you. Get out a pen and paper and physically write it down. What deep personal value does this connect with? What kind of future are you trying to build for yourself? This is how you link a tiny action to a massive purpose.
So let's end with a challenge. Right now, don't wait for motivation to come find you. You have to create it. Think of one important thing you've been putting off. Now, what is the absolute tiniest, smallest possible step you can take toward that goal in the next 10 minutes? Don't just think about it, go do it. That right there, that's the first turn of the key to restarting your engine.